family in the Lowcountry called the I-Team furious about their bank account being drained, and they were informed they had to ask permission to spend any money. When the courts take control of your finances, it's called a conservatorship. Courts often intervene when a judge deems a person incapacitated. Tonight, investigator Rebecca Collette explains how the conservatorship program works and why a family says it's overreaching.
Benjamin Bennett can't tithe.
I used to give the church $150 a month. I can't do that no more.
Or fix his roof.
This thing just would drive me crazy.
His bank account was cleared and he can't receive his mail at home. Mr. Bennett is under a court-appointed conservatorship. That means all his spending, from groceries to graduation gifts, must be approved by Family Services.
So my grand come to see me, and she finished high school, fixing to want to go to college. I at least wish I was able to give him $50. I can do none of this.
His daughter, Melissa, says the problem started after a doctor recommended the conservatorship to protect Mr. Bennett. Bennett recently sold land for a large sum of money. According to the doctor's report, Bennett shows signs of dementia and had voiced concerns about having so much money in the bank.
They pay 6 people to protect you, but you don't know the 6 people as strangers.
Melissa says with 8 other siblings, the family is equipped to handle the parents' affairs. Mr. Bennett's wife of 60 years, Ida, is his court-appointed guardian, but even she can't access their retirement.
This is the most. I never been through nothing like this in my whole entire life.
Upon recommendation of the doctor last November, the court deemed him incapacitated and unable to handle his own finances. The court appointed Iris Albright's team at Family Services to oversee the money.
The role of a conservator in the state of South Carolina is to protect the assets of the individual.
By investing the money and setting a budget, Albright says the conservatorships are designed to help in cases where family members can't agree on spending or when there isn't anyone else to help. She says mail is redirected to monitor bills.
Nobody wants to take rights away from individuals, but we don't want individuals get into a bad situation either.
The family fears several people, including the courts, lawyers, doctors, and Family Services, are making money off handling the Bennett's case.
The top probate judge in Charleston County declined to speak with me on camera, but he invited me to his office here at the Judicial Center downtown Charleston to discuss how he sets the rates for all of the people involved in the conservatorship program.
The court caps lawyers' fees at $200 per hour. Doctors collect between $450 and $1,200 for exams. Social workers earn $275 to $300 for exams. Conservators collect roughly 1% of the money they manage each quarter. For the Bennetts, with about $500,000 in the bank, that's $5,000 every 3 months.
I mean, like a freight train. You don't have any rights.
There's no way out of a conservatorship unless the court reverses the order.
This is something that, like a nightmare. You just can't sleep through it.
Family is always the first choice to handle a conservatorship, but here's the catch. They have to be backed with a bond or insurance. That's very difficult for a family to secure without deep pockets. Both Mr. and Mrs. Bennett say their daughter should be handling their money.
The case is expected to be back in court by the end of October to determine if the court needs to continue the conservatorship. Probate Judge Irvin Condon says family can avoid the court intervention by establishing a couple of things: wills and a power of attorney. For information on doing that, head to counton2.com. Rebecca Collette, News 2.
An update now on the Lowcountry family who called News 2's Rebecca Collette. They were devastated when they found their bank account had been drained and that they needed permission to spend their own money.
It turns out they were forced into a conservatorship where the courts take control of your finances, usually to protect an incapacitated person. The Bennett family says the court intervention isn't necessary, but they've been stuck in the system for nearly a year. News 2's Rebecca Collette has been following their story. Joins us now with an update.
Good evening. These are the doctor's reports from court-appointed doctors who gave Benjamin Bennett capacity tests. Both find Bennett isn't incapacitated, but as of tonight, His money is still under the control of the courts.
I have to go through all those things.
Benjamin Bennett was more obviously unnerved by the court's control over his finances when I sat down with him for our second interview.
This thing got me going crazy, man.
He's approaching the 1-year mark being under a conservatorship. His daughter, Melissa, called me after Mr. Bennett's former doctor recommended the conservatorship for protection when he came into a large inheritance. According to the original doctor's report, Bennett showed signs of dementia and had voiced concerns about having so much money in the bank.
I tell you, since this thing is going on, I just ain't like I used to be.
See, last November, the courts called for an emergency hearing, deeming Mr. Bennett unable to handle his money. The court drained his bank account and appointed family services to oversee the family finances. The court appointed health experts examined Mr. Bennett and interviewed the family. According to those new mental health records supplied by the family, both exams found Mr. Bennett is not incapacitated, should be able to handle his own financial affairs, and showed normal signs of aging. They also found the family to be supportive. But here's the catch. Mr. Bennett was so frustrated he didn't finish one of the tests. It's possible the courts and attorneys won't accept the findings until he finishes that test. Melissa says those tests on her 80-year-old father are taking their toll on his health. Health records show he's losing weight.
What he has lost was more than the money they're spending now.
Mr. Bennett's wife of 60 years, Ida, is the court-appointed guardian, but even she can't freely access their money. The water company notified her bills aren't getting paid, and it was months behind.
I just only have to hang in there. Just got to keep on praying.
The court-appointed conservator, Family Services, tells me they weren't aware of the water bill because it was in Ida's name. The Bennetts need permission to access any of their money for things like dentures or to repair their AC. A hearing was planned October 23rd, but it was pushed back. The longer the family's under the conservatorship, the more it costs them in fees for attorneys, doctors, and family services. The family expects to meet with their court-appointed attorney next week, but Mr. Bennett is losing hope he'll ever have control over his life again.
I can't handle the good master I handle him.
Getting out of the conservatorship is a long shot. I pulled court records and found fewer than 1% of cases in Charleston County are dissolved. What I found, most cases, 99% of the time, they're only dissolved after what's considered a ward dies. In the Alert Center, Rebecca Collette, Count on 2.